Hi guys, hi, how's it going? How you doing today? Hopefully today finds you well. Today I am doing the top 3 in every category, kind of, on my channel. This is a video that I've done actually, I think, one time before on my channel, maybe twice. The last time I did it was in October of 2022, and I did my entire collection in one video, and it was like a 45-minute video. And I elected this year to kind of break it up because I also do a top 3 in every category for palettes as well. And that palette piece is completely separate from like every other portion of my makeup. So I thought that it would be super smart to actually break this into a few different videos. Today, it's going to be all things base products. So foundations, powders, concealers, correctors, those kind of things. And I hope that that sounds like something you're interested in. I also just did my foundation collection and declutter video on my channel, so I'll link that up in the cards for you. We will do this in 4 different videos, this one being all things base. And then I will also do one on all things eyes and brows. I will also do one on lip and my lip categories, and one on face and my face categories. So blushes, bronzers, etc. I hope that does sound like something you're interested in watching today. And I'm doing this so that I can give it to you in bite-sized videos instead of an hour and 40 minutes. So hopefully that sounds like something you're interested in. For those of you new here, hi, my name is Donna. I'm a lover of all things high and colorful beauty and self-care. I also work for Ulta Beauty as a field business leader. I get a lot of education in my position. I'd like to bring you that education. Ultimately, though, I'm just out here talking about makeup because I like to talk about makeup. And I'm assuming if you're here, you also like to talk about makeup. So let's be friends. At the end of the day, I hope that you want to subscribe to my channel and hit me up down in the comment section. Let me know that you're here. I would love to have you as part of my YouTube fam. With all intro aside, let's just roll into this video where we'll be talking about some of my favorites in terms of base products, foundations, concealers, powders, and all the things. Alrighty, all right. So today we are going to be going through the top 3 items that I currently have in my collection in all things base products. Like I said in the intro, foundations, concealers, correctors, powders. I did have setting spray in here too. We'll see if I add that in here at the end. I want to preface this by saying I did challenge myself to pick from the products that I had in my collection now, not the products that I have had in my collection or the products that I will be repurchasing for my collection, because I do have some other favorites. Like when I think of the Bobbi Brown face base, I haven't had that in my collection in a minute and I miss it, and it will come back into my collection at some point. I just really am also trying to be a smart consumer and use what I have before I start just purchasing other things to utilize before I've even gotten what I already have in my collection even halfway done. So if you have seen me rave about a product in the past, that is probably still current, right? But these are products that I currently have in my collection and what I am currently loving in my current collection. So that's why it's important to come and do these more often than just a one-time thing, right? This isn't a one and done. This is you change your mind often. So how often should you be doing this? I think that once a year is really, really good. So for face primers, first and foremost, I have this one, and it's not one that I talk about on my channel a lot, but I wanted to think about face primers in terms of what they do for me, and I wanted to pick one from each category of those products. So is it a tacky base one? Is it a pore filling one? Is it a glowy one? And I wanted to kind of stay away from the moisturizing ones because ultimately I can get my face moisturized from my skincare. So I did pick a glowy, a tacky, and a pore filling primer to share with you today. And my favorite tacky base primer currently of the moment is the Urban Decay All Nighter Face Primer. This is their Longwear Foundation Grip Primer that Helps to prep, smooth, and perfect your skin. This is what it looks like, and mine is, you know, about a halfway done bottle. It's been, or squeezy tube, it's been in my collection for quite some time. It goes on white, and I think really it goes on white so that it's easier for you to see where you're placing it, but it really does have a grippiness to it without being sticky like glue. I do find that my foundations sit so nicely on top of this and also last forever, which is not something I can say for every single gripping primer that I've tried. Sometimes a gripping primer actually causes more problems than it does to help your makeup application journey. Like when I think of the Huda Beauty Blur Jam, like great primer, but it's so finicky and fickle. And sometimes when you use it, it does cause some pilling situations with your primers. That is not the case for this one. I find that my makeup sits beautifully on top of it. It has never caused a pilling issue for me. And it also helps with that longevity of the foundations that I use that maybe don't have the best wear time. This really does help it. So this would be my favorite through the lens of a gripping primer. And then my favorite through the lens of like a smoothing primer is going to be the Tarte Timeless Smoothing. This is relatively new to my collection. I think I brought this in towards the last half of last year. I have used it quite a bit. You don't need much of this. It's like literally, I know that this sounds ridiculous, but like literally this much on your finger really does do everything you need it to do for the area of your skin in which you're applying it. And it just goes on so beautifully and does really miraculous things to kind of make your skin look relatively airbrushed. It's so soft, and it doesn't have that like silicone slippery, like slimy almost feel that most pore filling primers do. I just use this in the areas that I need it and just press it into my skin, and it does such a beautiful job. And again, like many other pore filling primers might cause some contraindications with your foundations that are not great, like pilling or movement or slipping all over the place. This doesn't do that. It's just such a great pore filling primer. And back in the day, I mean, even up to maybe a month ago, I would have been, or 6 months ago, I would have been a person that told you that I just don't love pore filling primers. I've said that. I've said that a lot actually on my channel. And that one I actually quite like. For glowy primers, I have several that I really love, but one that came into my collection very early on last year, I do believe, is this one. And this is the Valentino V-Lighter, and this is so pretty. I think it was meant to be either a primer or a liquid illuminator, so a liquid highlighter, but it looks like this and it is just gorgeous. There are two shades, and I do have the shade Rosa, and it is kind of a pink, and that's really concentrated into one spot, right? So it very well could be a liquid highlighter for you, but as an all over face primer, do you see how glowy beautiful my hand looks with that just sitting over the top of it? It is so pretty underneath like a maybe more mattifying primer. I am a girl who is a medium at most kind of coverage girl, and I like a natural or a glowy, dewy finish to my foundations. But sometimes a really beautiful foundation just doesn't come in a natural or a glowy, dewy finish, right? So I will use this underneath some of my more mattifying foundations, and I love it. It looks so pretty under those foundations. In addition to that, I will use this on its own all over my face as just a primer or a moisturizer of sorts to make my skin look and feel more glowy, dewy, lit from within, healthy looking skin. It is beautiful and it sits on the skin beautifully, and it goes underneath matte foundations and gives them just that little bit of oomph that I maybe need, or mix it in with a matte foundation, gives a little bit more of an oomph to a matte foundation for somebody like me who's not like real keen on mattes. The next category I have is foundations. I have a few in here. I have a lot. There isn't one of my foundations in my collection right now that I do not like. Every single one of them, I think I can, there's like maybe 3 or 4 that I haven't used yet. So I guess I can't say that about those. For the ones that are open, for the ones that I have used over and over again, there isn't one in my collection that I don't like. So when it comes to favorites, I really had to think about the ones that I use all the time, that I can't stop using, that I have to force myself to put down. And I'm really happy to say that one of them, unlike the last category, one of them is actually a drugstore foundation, and that is the ColourPop Pretty Fresh. This is a foundation that I picked up because I purchased one for my daughter, loved it. It looked so pretty on her skin. And I was like, maybe I need to give them a chance. I have the shade Light 60N, I do believe. I'm not wearing my glasses, so I could be very wrong on that. This is so beautiful. It lays so naturally on the skin. It is a little bit of a more fuller coverage foundation than I typically would go for. All of these are truly, but it's got a really beautiful natural finish. It's made as a hyaluronic hydrating foundation, so it does absorb the moisture from the air into your skin. It helps you out with that. Not that it's your skincare replacement, but it does a really good job as a more fuller coverage foundation to look super natural on the skin. It also does, for a drugstore makeup, last in a very long time as far as wear time goes. And as it wears away, it doesn't wear away in a way that's unflattering. It's so pretty the way it sits on your skin and just kind of becomes one, and you don't really have to worry about it at all. Same can be said for this one, which is the Dior Forever Natural Nude Foundation. I have mine in the shade 2CR, and I just brought this into my collection, and you can see how much usage I have gotten out of this product. I cannot put this down. It is stunning. It is so, so pretty, and it's got kind of a dewiness to it, not like a glowiness, but like a dewiness to it that makes your skin look just naturally beautiful and radiant. And it's a little bit lighter coverage than a medium, right? But not quite light enough to be like a skin tint or sheer. It is so pretty. I can't put it down. It feels good on the skin. It's not heavy. It's really lightweight, really thin, with a medium-ish amount of coverage. I would say if you're a full coverage girl, you're probably not going to love this. But if you're a skin tint girl who needs a little bit more coverage, this is your jam. The next one I have is this. And ultimately, if you guys know, you know, if you've been around here a while, this is the Makeup Forever Face Sculpting Palette. And I've talked about this several times on my channel, and in my foundation collection and declutter video, I did say this is probably the best purchase I made all year last year. And that is because it has every color that I might need, dependent on what the season is, dependent on how my skin is acting, dependent on how sallow my skin is or whatever, for foundation, for contour, for bronzer, for highlight. These 3 down here are highlights, and these I use as bronzers and contours. But these I use so much as foundations and concealers and whatever on my face. And I take this with me out of town every single time I go out of town. So this isn't a product that I'm scared of. This isn't a product that I don't love. If I didn't love it, I certainly wouldn't take it with me to go out of town to work. I love this. I will purchase it again if it goes bad, or if if I use one little dude, this one here has quite the little like divot in it, as well as this one. I usually mix those two together or those two together, depending on where my skin is leaning for the day, whether it's more yellow or more cool. I love this. I love this product so dang much. It's expensive, but probably the best foundation purchase I ever made for myself. Next, I have correctors, and I'm putting correctors before concealers because I would typically lay down a corrector before I lay down a concealer. This is the LA Girl Pro Conceal HD High Def in the shade Pink. So I started using this because I wanted to give myself a reason to not purchase a pink powder. I still purchased a pink powder at the end of the year, but I found that I really, really, really loved this for correcting any darkness that's under my eyes. It really does brighten up my under eyes in a way that is beneficial for me looking wide awake when I maybe am not. I also think that this does really great things for brightening up that the inner corner of my eye where like your nose and your eye meet. I also wear glasses, so it does a really good job of like hiding like any of the nose pad indents that I get on my nose for the most part when I am brightening up my under eye and into the inner corners with this guy. And it's so cheap. It's so cheap. I love it so much. I will repurchase it if for no other reason but to brighten up my under eyes. Additionally, I have this Bobbi Brown corrector in the shade Light to Medium Bisque. This is just a little tiny guy. I think this is a full size, but it is little tiny. I love that it has a little mirror here so that you can correct on the go if you need to. But this is such a perfect little corrector pot. It's my perfect skin tone. So I can just dip my fingers into it and pop, pop, pop it on the under eye, pop, pop, pop it on a spot, whatever it is that I want to correct. This is perfection for the days that I don't want to wear makeup, but I want to look put together, which is often, if I'm honest. And for a girl that wears, you know, skin tints is my favorite form of foundation, this is perfect for my no makeup days because it lets my skin be my skin, but helps me to correct those spots on my skin that are not perfection in my humble opinion. The last one I have is this, and this is the MAC Studio Fix Conceal and Correct palette, and I am bringing this in because it has a little bit of everything. It has concealers, it has correctors, it has the pink for, you know, this very much mimics like this in my mind as far as this shade goes right here, because again, I can just dip my finger in, pop, 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 and call it good. I don't have to wear any kind of foundation or anything. It melts right into my skin, looks really good, specifically for my under eyes. But it also has this yellow here as well, and then it has all the concealer shades I might need as well. So it kind of doubles for me as a corrector slash concealer in my makeup collection when I go out of town, much like this. This comes with me almost every single time as well, because this does not have the like correctors in it, and I don't want to bring 50 different products. So I can bring this foundation and bronzer and highlight, and bring this for, I mean, even like correctors, spot concealing, those kind of things, and call it good. And then I have concealers. So for concealers, I talked about this a little bit in my foundation collection and declutter video. This is the Glossier Stretch Concealer in the shade G11. And this is so beautiful on the skin. It just melts into your skin, becomes one with your skin. It doesn't sit on top of your skin. And because of that, I also don't feel like it creases at all. It moves with your skin, breathes with your skin. It's just beautiful. And of course, this is a little bit light of a shade, right? So it is a brightening shade for me, but I would definitely pick up one in my same skin tone. But why do that when I have a corrector that works in the same way? So I love this concealer so dang much, and I probably would never have bought it if Glossier had not come to Sephora over the last year. The next one I have is, again, a drugstore option. So I've had, you know, a drugstore option in conceal or in corrector, a drugstore option in foundation, and now I have a drugstore option in concealer, and that is this one by Maybelline. Listen, I know I'm absolute last on this bandwagon, but this is the Maybelline Instant Rewind Eraser. It says multi-usage, but it is a concealer for me. It's got a nice pump so you can watch it like dissipate into the bottom of the bottle. The only thing I hate about it is this poof ball thing. I think that is atrocious and disgusting, and it looks disgusting, right? But it is so pretty, and it really does go on the skin and look like skin, like just your skin but better, in my humble opinion. It also feels very lightweight. It also doesn't really sink into my fine lines and wrinkles that I notice very much. I do tap it out quite often, but not because I need to necessarily, but because, in my humble opinion, it is a dewier under eye concealer, a dewier concealer period, but for my under eyes it's a lot more dewy than I put on my under eyes. So I do tap this one out quite often, but it's not necessarily because it's in the wrong. It's just because it's a habit of mine, to be honest. I love this concealer, and I was shocked by this concealer. Actually, it has shocked me how much I love this concealer so much, because again, I'm just not a drugstore girl. It is beautiful on the skin. And the last one I have is this, and this is the Natasha Denona High Glam Concealer. This was new to me this last year when it rolled out, new to everybody this last year. This is a brightening one for me. Obviously, the shade is a little bit bright. I think I forgot to tell you, this one's in the shade 115. This is in the shade R2. It's just beautiful. And honestly, I think that my favorite Natasha Denona foundation is Foundation X Plus. And I think that this reminds me a lot of that foundation in its like seruminess, but also coverage. It's serumy and lightweight, but so full coverage that it shocks me every single time I use it. A little tiny bit of this will go a very, very long way. So like literally on the doe foot, if you just take the tip of the doe foot and just kind of dot it on your under eyes, that's all you need. And you can take whatever excess it is and kind of dab it around on your face. I also know that this comes in like some corrector shades as well that I'm looking to pick up in the future. Not right now, I have plenty. In the future, I will pick this up in probably some corrector shades and try it as a corrector as well. But I also know that I could live with this as a foundation if they made it bigger. I could probably use it as a foundation in much the same way that I use like this as a foundation if I had this also in my skin tone, which will probably be entering my collection at some point this year. I feel really good about where I'm at with my concealers and my correctors, so I could probably get away with adding another one at some point, but this is fantastic. It's so beautiful. Okay, let's talk about some powders. So for powders, I have 4 here, but I am kind of cheating because one of them is the same powder. I just bought 2 different shades of it so that I can use one all over my face and one on just solely my under eyes. And that is the Pat McGrath Labs Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Blurring Under Eye Powder. And the first one that I picked up was the shade medium, and why I thought that this was going to be perfection on my under eyes, I will never know, because it's actually as light as it is. It's quite dark for my under eyes. So I ended up going back to the location that I purchased this one at and got the light version. So the light one is what I use on my under eyes. It is what is on my under eyes today. And the medium one is what I use all over my face. So in terms of powder, yes, there are 2 here, but I definitely think that this is one powder in my mind. Not in my inventory, obviously, but it's one powder in my mind because it is a powder that is the same, just two different shades. One that I can use on my under eyes, and one that I use all over my face. It is so, so beautiful and finely milled and just, oh God, glowy, beautiful. So beautiful. Shocked me, actually, because I'm not a super big powder girl. We all know this. The next one I have is the Kosas Cloud Set powder, and I have mine in the shade Featherly, and this is what it looks like. This one reminds me a lot of the Pat McGrath one in that it is just so finely milled. It just goes on beautifully. It's super, super thin, so it blends into your skin beautifully. I just think that it's not glowy like the Pat McGrath one is. So like if I have a glowy, dewier foundation on, I will likely use this one over the Pat McGrath one. But it is still beautiful. I love that I can put this on under my eyes and all over my face, and it looks fine in either case. Even though there is a shade to it, that shade doesn't like counteract with anything on my under eyes. It just doesn't brighten up my under eyes. So it is a maybe a powder that I'm using over the top of just a primer or whatnot. So because everything is all one color at that point, right? I'm not trying to brighten up my under eyes, but it is a beautiful, beautiful powder. The only thing with Kosas is that their stuff goes bad relatively quickly. I am afraid that this will go bad before I get all the use out of it, but for now, it's still amazing. It still works in my collection, and I absolutely quite love it. And I am more into like a pressed powder than I am a loose powder. So this last one is like kind of shocking, but as I said earlier when I was talking about this, I did try to incorporate this into my usage for the year because I wanted not to go after and purchase a pink powder like everybody on the planet was raving about. But I ended up picking up the Huda Beauty powder. This is baking powder or whatever it's called, the Huda Beauty powder in the shade Cherry Blossom Cake. And I just got a mini because I am not a loose powder fan, and also because I didn't know how much I would love a pink powder. I love this pink powder. It is so pretty. It is so pretty for helping to brighten up the under eyes, and it's actually really pretty on the face as well as an all over face powder just to brighten up your face. Like even when I am using like a foundation that has oxidized on me pretty rough, the Hourglass Illusion like skin tint oxidizes on me so bad, or I got just generally the wrong color. This helps brighten it and lighten it, and I love that. And it also does not feel like powder. It also does not look super powdery on my face, so I just really love it. And I especially love it for my under eyes, but I really do love it for an all over face powder as well, which is crazy because I'm not a powder girl, like I said, and if I had to choose powder, it's going to be a pressed one. With that said, the mini, I don't really love the contraption of this mini. I think that this is worthless, so just give me more powder without a puff. Let me go purchase a puff that I can use. Does the full size come with a puff? Maybe that's why they did it this way, but I'm glad I purchased a mini. Listen, loose powders take forever to go through, so I'm really glad I purchased a mini, but I also am really glad that I just purchased it, period. I think it's beautiful. The last section is setting spray, and I wasn't going to do setting spray, but I do have them in my collection, so I might as well talk about them. I have 3 setting sprays exactly that I like, that I will repurchase over and over again, and for different reasons, maybe. The first one would be this one. This is the Urban Decay All Nighter. This is my specialty bottle, the one that I got at an FLC that they personalized, and it says Donna Fierce AF on it. I love Urban Decay All Nighter. The bad part about this setting spray is it is heavy alcohol based. So I had, prior to moving over to Western Washington, super, super dry skin. So it just exacerbated all the dryness of my skin and caused me to look and feel textured because I was getting drier by the moment every single time I used it. I don't have that same, like my skin has kind of normalized since moving over to Western Washington. So I have been using it lately, but I also don't really spray my face all that much anymore because I just don't feel the need to. Like it doesn't do the things that I thought it did before in terms of like eating away the makeup that I was putting on my face. So like my makeup lasts, it just does. I don't know why or what or how, it just does. So I don't use it so much anymore. The other two that I have are still in boxes because I've just been, you know, utilizing one setting spray at a time. The MAC Fix Plus would be one that is a favorite for me. I do love utilizing this for hydration to my skin and for foiling, like eyeshadow, spraying down my brush for eyeshadow spray or for foiling shimmers. Not necessarily one that I utilize for setting. You know, it's not going to help my makeup last longer, and I don't really think that that's what it's set up to do anyways. I really do love it for hydration to my skin, midday pick-me-up, and I have the regular, and then I also have the coconut scent. I love the coconut scent. And probably my favorite that took out Urban Decay All Nighter as a favorite is the Benefit Professional Super Setter. And the reason why is because this does the same thing to make my makeup last, I feel like, yet also makes my skin feel hydrated because it's not alcohol based. There's no alcohol in here, yet it's long lasting. It's such a beautiful setting spray, and it's got a beautiful mister most of the time, and it's great. It's great. So with that said, that is the top 3 in every category in my base product collection. I would be interested to hear what your top 3 in every category that I mentioned are, and if I'm missing out on something, please let me know. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed the video, and I hope that you want to give it a big thumbs up. I hope that you'll subscribe before you go. I hope that you and yours are well, that everybody is safe and healthy and getting along as best you can. I hope that you are all loving each other, but loving each other from afar. And until next time, bye friends.